Right, and let's stay in the U.S. The country's Senate has passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill, the biggest in decades. And the bipartisan package will fund roads, bridges, airports and more. And just after the Democrat-controlled Senate quickly kicked off debate on the $3.5 trillion spending blueprint for President Joe Biden's key priorities on climate change, universal preschool and more. Owen Fairclough reports from Washington.
US President Joe Biden's administration may have run out of superlatives to describe what they think is the most historic upgrade of American infrastructure ever signed off. That's after lawmakers in the US Senate finally voted through a massive infrastructure program for planes, trains, automobiles and much more. The US president himself taking to the wheel of an all-electric SUV for a spin around the White House just before lawmakers were putting the final touches to this legislation. And he's putting the environment and renewable energy at the heart of this program, which invests massively in green transport and green energy. All of that just a day or so after the United Nations warned that climate change is accelerating much faster than even the world's top scientists first thought. There's money as well, tens of billions of dollars for upgrading US broadband. Anybody that's worked from home during the last 12 months during this COVID-19 pandemic will appreciate the importance of a reliable connection. President Biden has talked about winning the 21st century economy. For many, that's shorthand for competing with China, which has spent much of the last decade and even longer upgrading its own infrastructure to create world-class trains and so on. Here's the US president.
You know, we're poised once again, and I mean this in a literal sense, to make the same kind of historic investments that have so often made it possible for America to build the future and allow us to outcompete the rest of the world.
This was also a rare bipartisan victory, with some 19 Republicans in the Senate joining their Democrat colleagues to ensure there was a two-thirds majority to pass this infrastructure bill. And yet, if it took months to pass a $1 trillion infrastructure bill, imagine trying to pass $3.5 trillion worth of investment, not just in infrastructure, but also in healthcare programs, family care, and in tackling climate change. This is a much more wide-ranging program, and the problem for Democrats in the Senate is that Democrats in the lower House of Representatives have said they're only willing to sign off on the infrastructure bill once this $3.5 trillion program is also agreed. Owen Fairclough, CGTN, Washington.